Hello YouTube. I wanted to take a moment and create a video introducing the subject of my next renovation. This will be the first really that I've attempted. I've had a need for a tractor and I located this Massey Ferguson for a good price, and I've brought it home. And you might say I've dragged it home because if you look sharply, you will see, of course, that the left rear tire is flat. And that is not exactly an accident. Both rear rims are rusted out around the valve stem. Now these, of course, are the Massey Ferguson power adjust rims, so they're not going to be cheap to replace. And before I start spending money to get the tires to support the tractor's weight, I want to go through the rest of the tractor and make sure that it works well as well. You should know, I suppose, that I have heard the tractor run. Not only have I heard the tractor run, but was able to drive the tractor briefly to the extent of being able to load it onto the trailer, move it off into the grass, wash off some of the worst of the accumulated oil and debris from its previous lifetime, and have finally moved it into this parking spot, which is where it's going to sit until I finish with all the needed repairs. Mostly what I want to do now is to do some probably long neglected maintenance items. Replace the air filter, replace the spark plugs. The oil leak appears to be coming from the top of the engine, so I suspect there's a problem with the valve cover gasket. And obviously, while I have the valve cover off, I will adjust the valve clearances or the tappet clearances, depending on where in the world you're from. Replace the spark plugs, replace points condenser, double check the timing, change the engine oil, replace the engine oil filter. There are issues with the alternator, and we'll take a quick walkthrough of the tractor shortly. But anyway, for a bit more description, this is a 1974 model Massey Ferguson 135. It was manufactured with the Perkins 3-cylinder gas engine. It also is mated with the 6-speed transmission, no multi-power, and power steering. The tractor appears to have led a life, and certainly from what the previous, the person I purchased it from told me, lived some period of its life mostly hauling a trailer at a graveyard while they excavated the graves for the final occupants of the site. The wheel wear bears testimony to that. You'll see in a moment that the rear wheels are worn on the rubber, but the side walls still have the nipples in place. The tractor has about 3,600 hours on it and is in reasonably good shape for a vehicle that was manufactured over 40 years ago. So let's take a quick tour. The logo is still on the front. The lights still work. Here's our 3-cylinder distributor cap where I'll be installing the new points. You can see the oil coming down from above the engine. Here we have an opportunity to look at the sediment bowl. I don't know if they were using ethanol gas, or if water simply got into the normal gas that they were using, but you can see that there's an accumulation of stuff there, and I've got the repair parts for all these items. So the gears work well. The clutch is solid enough that it was able to move the tractor, again, as I say, with a flat tire, and get it up onto the trailer. I checked the hydraulic lift. It worked fairly well. As I said, I want to replace the oil in the hydraulic reservoir / transmission. You can see here, this tire is still inflated, but you can certainly see where the rim is rusted out, and the one on the other side is very similar. Also, for those of you who are not familiar with the adjustable wheel concept, you can see here it's a rail at an angle with clamps. So as you spin the wheel on these clamps, it will cause the track to be wider and narrower. Air filter needs to be checked. Things range from small to large. You can see here the choke is not hooked up, so the immediate remedy for that is to hold the choke with your fingers and crank it by hand standing off the tractor, which is really not a recommended technique. Here's the power steering pump here. And you can see here, and this is the reason that the battery is not attached, you can see here we've got something going on with our alternator. Haven't really looked at much else here because the tractor did just come home last weekend. But overall it appears to be solid. I think the rest of my family was disappointed that it came home with ordinary car tires on it. Again, that's probably an expense that will be made after the rest of the tractor has proved that it's worth putting more money into. And so that is the journey we're going on. And you can see here I've got replacement oil filter for the carburetor, gas filter for the carburetor, that is, oil filter for the cartridge here, got the gasket for the valve cover, got new gaskets for the sediment bowl. This is the oil that was recommended, and they could not determine which of two types of plugs that I might have. One is a short reach plug, the other is a long reach plug. So I will look and see what's what when I pull the tractor apart. I'm going to have to remove the fuel tank to get to the valve cover, and we'll just go from there. At any rate, I hope that you're able to follow along. And as always, of course, if you like what you see, hit like and subscribe. Have a great day.